Hello everyone, it's really nice to be back with you in this next YouTube video for the FCE class. So let's get started with today's activities. As you can see, today we're starting Unit 9. We have already finished Unit 8, so we're starting the next unit. Good. Now, the first thing that we're going to do, as you already know maybe, is we're going to check our homework with teacher Rafa. That was workbook pages 95 and 96. So if you still haven't done it, please pause the video and work on it, okay? Now, the next thing that we're going to do is to revise vocabulary practice regarding use of English parts of practice test 4. That is with teacher Laurita that we have been working with those activities. Great. We're going to start Unit 9 in our student book. Today is the vocabulary lesson, okay? So it's not so complicated. We just need to focus on vocabulary, have a dictionary, or have any notes there for in case you need them, okay? Then we're going to check the use of English parts in practice test 4. Since you already know the vocabulary, now we're ready to check the activities, because you have already done them, right? And we're going to work on the writing part of practice test 4 as well. And the last thing, we're going to assign some homework, okay? Some vocabulary homework, okay? Guys, let's get started with the homework revision with teacher Rob.
Hello people, welcome back. So, you know how this works, guys. I'm gonna help you check your homework. So let's go ahead. Exercise 1. Match the expressions 1 through 8 with the explanations A to H. 1. I'm in favor of the idea. It would be letter G. I agree with that. Guys, in this part, this is an example because you have to match the sentences with the one that it's similar to the meaning. Number 2. That's crazy. E. I strongly disagree. 3. I'm against the idea. C. I don't agree. 4. I'm totally for it. A. I completely support that. 5. I don't get what you mean. H. I don't understand. 6. From my point of view. B. What I think is. 7. I mean. D. What I want to say is. And 8. Are we supposed to? F. Do we have to? Okay, let's go ahead with number 2. Complete the sentences with these words. 2 options won't be used. Guys, put a lot of attention on this part because from all the options that are inside the box, 2 of them are not gonna be used. So, pay attention. Number 1. Just because that's how it was done in the past, it doesn't mean we have to do it that anyway. Now, if you look at it from your parents' point of view, you might see the matter differently. Speaking as someone who has done it before, I don't think it's a good idea. Everyone else totally supports the proposal, but personally I think it's crazy. As a young person, I think doing this way has a lot of advantages. There are a lot of reasons I'm for the idea. I mean, first of all, it will help us save time. Okay guys, so let's continue. Guys, on this part we're gonna jump exercise 3 because in exercise 3 the answers will vary. The answers are up to you in that exercise, so we're going directly to number 4 because I don't know what you guys write, so I'm gonna trust you. 4. Complete the conversation. Use 1 word in each space. Listen to check and your answer. I was thinking of going to the cinema tonight. Carlos, be in favor of that. Yeah. You sound like a little uncertain. What's wrong? Well, I suggested the idea to Adam and he told me he doesn't want to come. Oh, I see, but just because he's not into the idea that doesn't mean we can't go, does it? Now, I suppose you're right. If you look at it from his point of view, it makes sense. He's had quite a long week. Yes, he has. I mean, he must be pretty tired. Well, even if he doesn't want to join us, do you still want to go? Sure, I'm all for it. What do you want to see? How about watching a thriller? I totally support that idea. I love movies with a lot of suspense. Guys, here again we're gonna jump exercise 5 because exercise 5 you have to practice that one. That's up to you totally. We can't help you in that one because that is up to speaking. It'll already be with yourself or with someone or in front of the group. That last one we can make it now. So, exercise 6, match the sentence halves. 1. I am writing to complain about an offensive term. E. That will be used the last night broadcasts. 2. This is a matter that should be taken very seriously. Your article implied that most women are mean to each other, which is simply untrue. While I value freedom of expression, I believe it is important to remain respectful. I realize it was meant as a joke. However, I felt it was irresponsible. As a student myself, I was very upset by your implication that all students are lazy. I feel it is highly inappropriate to make a claim such as this on a popular website. I would like you to publish a formal apology as soon as possible. Exercise 7. Complete the complaint with these words and phrases. For number 1, it would be, I am writing to complain about an article on the issue of homelessness which was published in your magazine. Last week, this article is extremely insulting to our homeless people. As it suggests, they are deliberately trying to ruin our towns and cities. It also implies that their problems are entirely their fault, and furthermore, that they could easily improve their situation if they wanted to. I was very distressed by the attitude expressed in this article. With some students from my school, I was recently involved a frustrating event for the homeless, and I learned how difficult their lives really are. While it might make us uncomfortable to see homeless people sleeping on our streets, it is important to remember that they are human beings, and many of their stories are heartbreaking. I understand that this was an opinion piece. However, I feel it is irresponsible and dangerous to stereotype homeless people in this way. There is a risk that it could make other readers lose sympathy for these disadvantaged people who need our help. In fact, it could even make residents angry towards the homeless. I would like you to publish a revised version of the article, this time offering a more balanced view. In addition, I suggest you make a donation to a homeless shelter to show your support for those in our society who are vulnerable. Yours faithfully, Kasia Baran. And for the last exercise, guys, it's read complaint activity 7 again. Paying attention to the paragraph and numbers, read the list of points mentioned and highlight the paragraph on paragraphs they appear. Okay, so for this part, guys, we have 4 paragraphs. So, and the sentence that is right over here, you have to read it and you have to mark in which paragraph it appears. Guys, it is important to tell that for this part, some of these sentences are more than just one number. I mean, there's more than one answer for some of these. So, where the article appeared. That is shown in number 1. The reason for complaining, that explains in number 1 too. Helping the homeless, that is about paragraph 2, 3, and 4. The effects the article could have, they are shown in paragraph 3. Specific problems with the article, they are shown in paragraph 1, 2, and 3. How the article made the writer feel is shown in paragraph 2. What action the writer expects is shown in paragraph 4. How the article represents the homeless, that is told in paragraph 1, 2, and 3 again. So guys, this is everything for this class, so I hope to see you soon. Goodbye, boys.
Okay guys, we're going to begin by answering the use of English Part 1 vocabulary words for practice test number 4. So let's go over the answers for the exercises. Okay, we have the first one. Number 1, I'm going to demonstrate how things are done, watch and learn. Cross out demonstrate, which is a verb, and the definition is to show or to prove. Okay, that would also be a synonym. For number 2, you cannot subject someone to not eating for such a long period of time. So this is a phrasal verb, and it means to make somebody experience something, and it is usually something bad. To make someone go through a bad experience. Okay, great. Number 3, she's going to be famous at all costs. This is a common phrase, and it just means that she's going to be famous whatever it takes, or whatever she has to do to become famous. Number 4, the nutritional value of black beans is very high because they have high amounts of iron. So this is an adjective, and it is commonly used for things to talk about the health value of various foods. Okay, great. Number 5, problems began to arise when we had to work together as a team. This is a verb, and it means to occur or begin to happen. Problems began occurring, or problems began to happen. Okay, right. Number 6, it says learning how to drive can serve as a tool for becoming more independent. So this is also a phrasal verb, which means help to be. Can be a tool, right? Can help to make you more independent, or help you become more independent, for example. And number 7, the last one, is eating fast food every day can lead to dying from a heart attack at a young age. Also a phrasal verb, and it means that it can cause you to die from, or it can create a negative consequence in this case. It can also be used for positive aspects. This is just an example. Okay, moving on to this activity. We have several nouns I can fill in the blanks. So for number 1, the correct answer is, there was a heated debate between the leaders of the Republican and the Democratic Party. So this is a discussion with strong opinions on both sides. We can have, for example, Joe Biden against Trump for this presidential election. Okay, number 2, the commentator has stated that the crisis is going to be severe. So a commentator in this case would be a person who talks on TV or radio about what is going on. For example, Javier Alatorre, who had a discussion or went against López-Gatell's advice regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, right? Okay. Number 3, the obesity epidemic is affecting millions of people in Mexico. So we cross out obesity, and the definition is the condition of being unhealthily fat. Okay guys, number 4, the measles outbreak is of epidemic proportions because people did not get vaccinated. So it is a situation where there's a huge amount of something. So here we're using a health or a medicine related term or sentence, but it can be used for anything else as well, not just clinical or medical terms or health terms. Okay, number 5. Okay, there's a lot of worker exploitation in China. People are treated badly and are paid very little. So it is a situation in which somebody is treated unfairly. Then we have number 6, completing this course requires dedication and perseverance, which means commitment into completing something. Guys, now we're going to answer the vocabulary homework that you had for Use of English Part 2. Get ready. One side. So we have effective. What is the definition for effective? The correct one is producing the result that was wanted. Tailor-made is individually designed. You can say, oh, I had a tailor-made, or my dress was tailor-made, which is a dress that was designed to fit you specifically. Broad is wide. Ample is another synonym. Very, very, when there's a lot of options. Then we have nerve-wracking, which is an adjective, and it's causing psychological stress. It means that it hurts your head. It racks your nerves. Then we have phenomenon, which is a thing or event. Flexibility, ability to change easily. And take into account is to consider or think about including. And lastly, devise, which is a verb, is to make or create as well. Right, now we have part 3, vocabulary words for English for Use of English Part 3. Okay, we have advance as a noun, which is a synonym for development. Nanotechnology, a synonym for technology concerned with producing very small things. Nano means n to the minus 9, right? Okay. Drastic is extreme. Junk is things people throw away, or like trash, things that are useless. Spare part is an extra piece. For example, you can say a spare part in your car, any part of your car that you need replacing. Turbine is a machine that produces electricity. Okay, and pump is a verb, and it's to make liquid or gas move from one place to another. Okay, then we have storage tanks, which is a plural noun, and it is the places where things are kept. And lastly, on tap means ready to use. It's a prepositional phrase. Okay guys, now we're going to solve the responses for the crossword puzzle that we created for from the words on Use of English Parts 2 and 3. So number 1, with letter cross, we have number 1, my room is full of junk because I never throw away the things they give me. Number 2, pump the water from the well so that you can take a shower. Number 3, we must devise a strategy so that our parents will believe us. Number 4, moving here was such a drastic change because we went from the city to the country. Now we have the ones that are used down. Number 5, the most disastrous natural phenomenon is a hurricane. Number 6, the turbine of the plane was not working properly, so they made us come down from the plane. Number 7, the field of science is so broad that it is difficult to choose what to study. Okay guys, now for next class, please answer practice test 4, Use of English parts 1, 2, 3, and part 4 as well.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about natural disasters, a topic which we might be a bit familiar with. It's something that we talk about very often. Let's look at the image, guys, and on this image, the first part we have an earthquake. Earthquakes are somewhat common in Mexico City and in some parts of Mexico. We have volcano eruptions. Luckily, I think in Mexico we haven't had any volcano eruptions that have caused people to die or to have any negative effects on people, right? Then we have hurricanes. We also have in San Luis Potosí, when there are hurricanes, it rains a lot and there's a lot of floods, right? And the last image that we have is a tornado. Have you ever experienced a tornado? I think they're not so common in our area. Yes. In San Luis Potosí, guys, probably the most common natural disaster we can say is a flood or in a drought, right? Sometimes it doesn't rain as we want it to rain. And when it rains, there's a lot of floods in the city. Cars get affected. People cannot walk out of their houses. Their houses are full of water. All of those effects, right? So think about some effects on natural disasters on human population. For example, let's think about one. if it rains, if there's a hurricane hits a certain area, there can be some water shortage, right? People do not have enough drinking water, and there's a lack of water. Maybe there's no electricity. Maybe people can get killed. Maybe what else? There's many things that can happen, right? So make a list of 3 things and have them in your mind, please. Think about 3 effects that natural disasters can have on human population. Now, please open up your student books on page 104 and 105. On page 104 and 105, we have an image of a Chinese flood, right? It started raining in China, and there was a flood. And let's look at where it says rescuers evacuate local people from their homes in China. The photo is from China, where floods are common during the wet season from May to November. The country has suffered some of the worst natural disasters in recorded history, included several of the deadliest floods and landslides of all time. Typhoons are often the cause of flooding, especially in southern and eastern coast regions, where large-scale evacuations are not common. China is in an active seismic zone and has experienced major earthquakes, including one of the deadliest, the 7.9 magnitude earthquake in Sichuan province in 2008, in which more than 69,000 people lost their lives. So this is an image of a flood in China, and I think this is something that is kind of common to us when there's hurricanes, right? Here in Mexico, when a hurricane strikes a city, we can also see these type of images. And let's not go far. Even in San Luis Potosí, when it rains like that, there are people that are being rescued from their houses or from their cars in certain areas, right? But let's think about a little bit of the past. In centuries, guys, in the past, people used to blame the disasters on the positions of the stars and the planets. And in ancient times, some even thought disasters were the gods' response to human behavior. Now, we know that that's not true, right? What do you think is the cause of all these natural disasters? You're right. Global warming, right? Global warming and all the damage we have done to our ecosystem are causing all these natural disasters, right? Now, do you know what some climate scientists are predicting about future natural disasters? Do you think natural disasters are going to increase or they're going to decrease? What's going to happen? Do you know anything? Eventually, guys, some scientists say global warming is causing increased levels of water vapor in the atmosphere, which can lead to more frequent and intense storms and droughts. Okay, so of course, each year, as we know, there are severe droughts or severe rains, or everything is bigger than it used to be in the past, right? And that also affects the way we live. Luckily, I think that there has been some type of healing going on with this coronavirus thing. The ozone layer was covered up naturally, of course, and that's something good, right? And that probably paused a little or negative impact on the environment. Now, today, guys, we're going to be talking about vocabulary. So in exercise number 1, it says to work in pairs and look at the photo and discuss the questions. So what do you think has happened? Of course, as the legend says, rescuers are evacuating people from their homes in China, right? So probably there was a hurricane, probably a tsunami, a typhoon. There can be different things going on, right? Now, what do you think the 3 main challenges in this area would be at this time? So what do you think the 3 challenges are? Probably the first one, to be rescued, right? Because everyone is going to be in the same, same position as you are, in the need of being rescued. Probably even with food, and also maybe with your belongings. You're losing your belongings, right? Now, what would be needed to help people overcome these challenges? So what do you think is going to be needed? Probably, first of all, a lot of willingness, right? You have to have the will to be able to succeed. Then also to have some support and probably to identify what have you lost and to receive some type of support either from the government or from any special fundings, right? Okay. So guys, let's go over some vocabulary words that we're going to see today. Okay, so on exercise number 2, it says to check that you understand these pairs of words. Use a dictionary if necessary, then complete the series of events following an earthquake. So we have appealed, remember the root word is appeal. Then we have aid, which is another word for help. We have debris. Remember guys that debris is trash. It's like all the remains, all the waste of something scattered around. Then we have task, we have infrastructure, we have flee. Flee is to get away, to go away, to go away. Then we have rise, we have crisis, blocked, supplies, earthquake, devastation, launched, evacuate, shortages, and limited. Okay, so let's go ahead and read the sentences, guys. Hopefully there are no questions. If you have any questions, go to a dictionary to go over the meaning of the words, okay? For example, number 1 says, the blank struck coastal areas just after midnight and caused widespread. So we're talking about an earthquake, right? So what struck? The earthquake struck coastal areas just after midnight and caused widespread. So we know that the word we need to use is devastation, okay? So you're going to do the same for numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then we're going to check them together, okay? So guys, take a couple of minutes, and once you finish, we'll check them. Okay, now we're back. Remember you were supposed to pause the video. If you didn't, pause the video and then come back to it to check the answers. Number 2 says, much of the blank was damaged or destroyed, and thousands of people started to blank the worst affected areas. So what can be damaged or destroyed? The appeal, the debris, infrastructure, the rise, blocked, earthquake, lounge, or shortages. And, here, the correct answer would be much of the infrastructure was damaged or destroyed, and thousands of people started to flee the worst affected areas, to go away the worst affected areas. Number 3, as the number of injuries continues to blank, it became clear that a humanitarian blank was starting to unfold. So as the number of injuries continue to appealed to what? To rise, right? To increase. It became clear that a humanitarian crisis was starting to unfold, right? With coronavirus, all the cases have risen, so we know that it has become a humanitarian crisis as well. So please stay safe, stay home. Number 4, there were food blank and a blank amount of clean drinking water. So there were food, shortages, right? Which means that there was not enough food and a limited amount of drinking water. And as you know, guys, this happened, or the same happened now that we started this season of coronavirus, right? If you went to any supermarket, there were toilet paper shortages. There were some drinking water shortages as well. There was limited amount of food and everything, right? So that's what happens. People start feeling in some type of crisis, and they go and create those shortages, right? So don't do that. There's enough for everyone. Number 5, the government blank to the international community for blank. So the government appealed to the international community for aid, for help, okay? Number 6, the roads were blank, so they had to use helicopters to drop blank to people. So the roads were, if they could not have access to the roads, that means that the roads were blocked. So they had to use helicopters to drop supplies to people, right? Supplies, materials, it can even be food. Number 7, they blank a relief effort and started to blank people from the disaster zones. So a relief effort, they launched, which means they released an effort and started to evacuate people from the disaster zones. Number 8, they finally managed to clear the debris and started the huge task of rebuilding, right? So remember, guys, that debris is all the leftovers when there's a disaster, like in Mexico City with the earthquakes, the buildings that go down, all the leftovers of those buildings is called the debris. Yes, so that's it, the waste, the remains of places. Okay, so hopefully you haven't had any doubts with these questions, with these words. If you do, please go over probably your dictionary and make sure you understand each of the words clearly. Good. Guys, let's move on to number 3, and it says to work in pairs and discuss these questions. I'm going to go over the questions, but what I want you to do is to write down your answers in your book, okay? I'm going to go over each question and give you my opinion, and you take some notes probably, or write your answer down. You may have a different point of view, which is totally valid. And number 1 says, in addition to earthquakes, what else can cause widespread devastation? So not only earthquakes, right? We can also, where there's hurricanes or where there's tsunamis, there can also be a widespread devastation, which means that the devastation was widely spread among certain area, right? Now, what kind of systems form the infrastructure of a town or a city? So there can be green areas, there can be buildings, there can be spaces where there's only houses. Those are all the systems of the infrastructure, right? And all of them can suffer any kind of damage and need to be rebuilt later on. Number 3, what else might there be shortages of after a disaster? So of course, I would say drinking water. We all need water to live. Maybe food for kids, diapers, milk. There can be a lot of things that we don't consider necessary or that we don't consider important, but when we don't have them, we see how important they are to us, right? Number 4, what else might rise after a natural disaster? So maybe after a natural disaster, poverty can rise, maybe hunger, maybe diseases as well. Contamination or there can be a lot of things that can cause people to suffer from something. Now, number 5, what kind of aid can the international community provide in crisis? So probably, as you can see, guys, nowadays people get unified by donating things, right? And even money. So, but us as to help other people, we can donate supplies, medical supplies, medicine. We can donate basically things that are considered important, that are essential to live. Number 6, how is debris usually cleared? I have never seen a natural disaster. I have never experienced, luckily, but probably with machines, right? That's the only way. But I don't know where they put all those things. It would be interesting to go ahead and look for this, right? Number 7, think about that. Number 7, how are people usually evacuated from disaster zones? So if there's floods, they get evacuated with helicopters, right? Maybe in some places I have also seen, like, I don't know if you guys remember Hurricane Katrina. People were evacuated with boats because the water was still there. And in like the earthquake, how do they get evacuated? There's people that go inside the remains, the debris, and try to rescue people, which can be really dangerous for them as well, right? And number 8, what other reasons are there that roads may be blocked? So not just with water, right? Of course, If you have a car and if the road is flooded, it's covered with water, you cannot drive. You need a boat. You need some certain type of motor to get there. Probably if it's a tornado, if the trees get if they fall, you won't be able to cross the road. So all of those things, right? What else? If there are leftovers, there remains, there's the risk of certain things, okay? So guys, think about these questions, take your notes, take notes, write down everything, and you have to have that in your book, okay? Excellent. So the last thing, number 4 says, think about natural disaster. A natural disaster you know about and prepare to discuss it, write notes on. So what I want you to do in your notebooks, you're going to write down, you're going to think of a natural disaster that you experienced or that you know of, okay? For example, a long time ago, when I used to live in Texas, Texas is an area which a lot of tornadoes hit. So I remember there was a tornado once. So that was what happened, a tornado where in Texas and when, like 15 years ago. The immediate impact of the disaster was that people were evacuating the area because we knew that the tornado was going to come across our houses. So we didn't need to be there. Otherwise, we would be dead now. The relief effort involved and how effective it was. So all of us were evacuated by the police. We were sent to some schools to stay there, to spend like 2 or 3 days there as refugees, and that was it. We stayed there. Okay. The biggest challenges, well, luckily, nothing happened to my house or to my family, so everything was in its place when we came back. But it was just for safety measures, which was good. We were protected. Okay. So guys, take notes on this. Write them down. Think about something. Think about your any natural disaster you've experienced or that you have heard of. Okay, take notes about this, and when we come back to the classroom, we'll talk about all this. Okay, great.
Students, today we're going to work on practice test number 4 on the use of English part 1 on page 92. So let's begin. Use of English Part 1. TV cooking programs for kids, great entertainment or cheap exploitation. Reality TV shows have become extremely popular in recent years, initially featuring just adults. They now frequently include children and teenagers as well. Among the most successful of these kinds of programs are talent shows, and in particular, cooking competitions. A heated debate has arisen amongst commentators as to the rights and wrongs of allowing children to take part in these shows. Those in favor claim that the programs teach viewers good eating habits and promote a healthy lifestyle in a world where obesity is reaching epidemic proportions. They argue that children watching the programs learn a lot about the nutritional value of food, the importance of eating vegetables and fruit, and how to cook tasty foods using fresh ingredients. Supporters also believe that the programs show young people trying to perfect their skills and that this sends out a positive message. They demonstrate that hard work and dedication can lead to success, which serves as a great example to children watching the show. However, some people are concerned about the effects of these shows on the participants because of the competitive element. The stress caused by the desire to win the show at all costs can lead to tears and even complete emotional breakdown in extreme cases. Far from developing confidence in the young competitors, the experience can lead some children to feel worthless and insecure. Should TV producers really be subjecting children to such a negative experience in the name of entertainment? Here are the answers written for you so you can check. Moving on to Use of English Part 2 on page 93. Let's begin checking. Daydreaming or reality? Are you happy at school, or do you find some subjects boring? Some students complain that much of what they learned at school is not particularly useful, nor can it be put into practice in real life. It seems, though, or it seems, however. that this is not a recent phenomenon. As early as the end of the 18th century, there were teachers who complained about the educational system because they found it lacked both flexibility and practicality. Maria Montessori, an educator from Italy, realized that the schooling system was not as effective as it could be because it did not take into account the physiological and psychological needs of children. She devised a new system where children would feel safe and comfortable, learning from experience rather than being taught. Her system encouraged confidence and independence as pupils learned to develop their own initiative, as well as their skills and personal interests. It also aimed to help children grow into responsible adults. At schools which follow the Montessori system, everything, even furniture, is tailor-made to fit the needs of pupils. Children are presented with a broad variety of subjects, and they are then allowed to study them further or not, depending on their interests. Many students find the business of receiving their termly or yearly marks a nerve-wracking experience, but this is not an issue for children being educated at a Montessori school. The Montessori system does not believe in traditional methods of testing. Teachers communicate with parents either through written reports describing the student's progress or through meetings during the year. Okay guys, here I'm going to show you the answers in case you missed one. Alright, I hope this is clear. Moving on to practice test 4, use of English part 3 on page 94. For questions 25 through 34, read the text below. Use the word given in capitals at the end of some of the lines to form a word that fits in the gap in the same line. There's an example at the beginning. We have the example of technological. So, remember to write your answers in capital letters, guys. The windmills of hope. When most of us think about technological advances, our minds usually turn to space travel, microchips, nanotechnology, and robots. But technology doesn't have to be extremely advanced to make improvements in people's lives. William Kamkwamba left school at 14 because his family's poverty meant that he had to start working to support them, and it seemed unlikely that his future would be any brighter than that of most young Africans. However, when William left school and went to work on the family farm, he realized that he needed to do something drastic to ensure his family's survival. He started looking for junk and spare parts, and in his free time built a turbine from what he had found. To everyone's astonishment, the turbine worked. It not only produced electricity, but also pumped water for the family farm. His success story soon became well known, and articles were written about him and his achievement. People from all over the world sent money to William, which he used to study farm technology. He used his new knowledge and the donations that he had been sent to add water storage tanks. Now, William's village has water on tap for the first time in its history. Stories like William Kambawa's should be an inspiration to all of us. Okay, guys, here we have the answers as well. So in case you didn't get to, you didn't listen to one. For number 31, we have two options. It's either successful or success. And moving on to our last use of English part of the practice test on page 95. Okay guys, so for number 35, I think this recipe needs more milk than we've got, using the word enough. Remember that you must use between 2 to 5 words, including the word given, and you cannot change the word given originally. So, in this case, the correct answer is have got enough milk for, or have enough milk for. Got is optional. Okay, for number 36, this is the best computer game I've ever played. I've never played a better computer game than this one. 37. Do you know how far away Hong Kong is? With idea. Do you have any idea how far away Hong Kong is? 38. He started doing charity work when he was a student, using involved. He has been involved in or been involved with doing charity work since he was a student. 39. Carl is the only person who would have used your MP3 player. It must have been Carl who used your MP3 player. I won't tolerate another argument between you. I won't put up with any more arguing between you. Any is also optional. It can also be put up with more arguing between you. 41. He's proud of his coin collection. He takes pride in his coin collection. 42. The head teacher's intention is to deal with the situation immediately. The head teacher intends to take care of the situation immediately. Here are the answers, guys, in case you missed one. And remember that the words in parentheses, which is got and any, are optional. So both of these writings have to be in your FCE notebook as an evidence that you have been following our class. Thank you, guys. So let's go over each one of these. Regarding writing part 1 on page 90, let's look at the specifications. Okay, so it says here, you must answer this question. Write your answer in 120 to 150 words in an appropriate style. You're interested in going to Britain to learn English. Read the advert and the notes you have made. Then write an email to Mr. Johnson using all your notes. Remember that in this case it has to be specifically what they're telling you to write, so it has to be an email. It says write your email. You must use grammatically correct sentences with accurate spelling and punctuation in a style appropriate for the situation. Okay, so the advert says, learn English in Britain. Do you want to learn English quickly and well? Would you like to be with other teenagers so you can enjoy learning and spend your free time making new friends? If so, our courses are the ones for you. This is what's on offer. Language courses for all levels from beginners to proficiency. Lessons every day. Stay in our amazing halls of residence. Afternoon and evening activities for teenagers. Reasonable fees. For more information, please write to Mr. Johnson at 34 Audley Street, Kingston, KT, etc. 129WX. Okay, so we have the notes that the person did. So it's how many hours. So you want to specify. You want to ask in your email this information. How many hours are the lessons going to last every day? Are you going to be sharing rooms in this halls of residence? What are the evening activities for teenagers? And regarding the fees, remember that the fees are the money that they're charging you for this activity. So more details about the fees because they're not specified in the ad. Okay, guys, so please get to work, and I think it's quite a simple assignment, and we have done this in class before. Now, moving on to writing part 2. Let's go over the details, guys. Okay, guys, moving on to writing part 2. The instruction says, write an answer to only one of the questions from 2 to 5 in this part. Write your answer in a 120 to 180 word limit in an appropriate style. So if you can see, number 2 and number 5 are essays, number 3 is a report, and number 4 is a letter. So I would recommend, guys, that you read the instructions carefully before you decide. Maybe you have a preference for a specific topic. And also choose the format or the type of writing that is most difficult to you, so you can practice and be ready in case this comes up in your FCE exam. Remember that there's a section of the exam in which you will have to do exactly this, which is to choose which kind of writing you would like to complete, right? And the topic from a specified or a fixed number of options, okay? Okay, guys, so get to work, and well, thanks for paying attention.
Today's homework, guys, is just workbook pages 98 and 99. There are 8 exercises and they are all about vocabulary that we saw in today's class. Okay, so please make sure you answer numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and we'll check them next class with teacher Rafa, but you have to answer them. Again, workbook pages 98 and 99. Great. Okay, guys, so this is the end of today's class. We really hope everything was clear and there are just like no questions. In case you have any questions, guys, you can always go back to the dictionary or look for them, Google them, okay? No problem with that. Guys, have an excellent weekend. Stay safe, stay home, and see you next video. Goodbye. Do your homework. Goodbye.